Howdy. Magic is the religion of the artist, and the artist is simply man doing what man does best, manifesting light in the dark universe. The formation of the Golden Dawn occurred in the city that led the world in scientific discovery, culture, technology and mysticism, just as London's global power was peaking. As best it could, the Order amalgamated the cutting edge of each of these fields and packaged it in such a way that appealed to the right sort of people and made the wrong sort clutch their pearls and gasp. Chaos magic formed in the same city just as that global power was completing its unwinding. Just as the last few drops were being shaken from the bottle. But it did, and does, retain a similar coalescence of culture, science, technology, and mysticism that was so crucial to the creation of its Victorian predecessor. The mistake too many make is to assume that the mid-80s, early 90s amalgam was definitive. It isn't. Just as the Golden Dawn required updating, better 70 years later than never, so it is that chaos magic requires reformulation, an update, lest it relegate itself to the same fate as the Order's weakened open rituals in rented scout halls on the outskirts of faded post-industrial Midland towns. To the opening question then, does chaos magic still exist? I believe it does, but I also believe it is in need of a minor correction, or at least a mischievous warp, to bring it into alignment with the 21st century. There would be little served by going over the core principles of previous decades, as these are largely known or readily accessible online. For brevity and convenience, they are listed below. First, a preference for observed magical results over unfounded claims of mystical insight. Second, an awareness of the capacity of personal beliefs to shape the experiences of those that hold them. Third, a virulent suspicion of mystical, political, and scientific authority. Fourth, probabilistic or random interpretations of events are prioritized over mystical or spiritual ones. Fifth, a fierce iconoclasm when it comes to the rules and taboos of Western magic. Sixth, a realization that quality fiction sometimes provides equal or better interpretive models, given that artists have proved to be more reliable narrators than either scientists or wizards. Seventh, a lifelong dedication to the study of the history of ideas and magic, and a recognition that this study is one of the most expedient routes to apotheosis. And finally, eighth, having money is generally better than not having money. I think everyone can agree on that. particularly for those who claim to command the forces of the universe, and so economic literacy is also valued. Instead of rehashing them, we reassert them here. Chaos magic does not need new things added to it. It does not need a reformation. What it needs is a counter-reformation, a return to core principles and an examination of what they might look like in the modern era. Pieces of 8 presents a series of brief essays in chaos magic apologetics, followed by an only seemingly random collection of practical magical rituals and enchantments, all in a probably futile attempt to dropkick the discourse into the 21st century. As a youngster, I was terribly struck by Crowley's comment that the magician's true magical circle built over time is his or her aura. To my inexperienced mind, I assumed this meant we would all gradually form invisible soap bubbles of power around our bodies, through which no harm could pass. If we may begin to work of counter-reformation with this very turn of face, whilst also casting aside the unhelpful term aura, then both the practice and goal of magic is the building, or maybe rediscovery, of metaphoric, pan-dimensional sense, organs that allow you to perceive and participate in a much larger world. A world you gradually come to consider home. A world of wonders. A true magic circle is the growing of ears to hear the stars and voices to speak the language of the dead. It is building nerve endings that let you caress the spines of demons. It is opening eyes that can see angels dancing between subatomic particles. It is having a portable research lab and postal address in this world and the next. Divination, enchantment, malefica, prayer. These all blur into the right action in the opportune moment. This book intentionally runs lean, shallower on the draft if you will. It should not be the first book you read on magic. I wholly agree, as a reader. But anything between second and final is fine. It is not a beginner's book, it is a minimalist's book. It contains the minimum viable amount of content to begin perceiving and participating in this larger world. This is in keeping with an updated definition of chaos magic. It is a worldview optimized for optimization. A worldview optimized for performance. These violent delights have violent ends.